Okay, guys. So this is, I think, the second half of the second part, second half. Lord, but the Romeo and Juliet and Midsummer Night's Dream are going to be tougher to do, mostly because we didn't watch the movie together. And so the most I can do here, we're moving on Romeo and Juliet, and then we'll do Midsummer Night's Dream. And the thing about it is, uh, we, I'm just going to tell you, go watch the movie. I think you should read the play, read a summary, read a summary of Romeo and Juliet. That'll help you follow the videos. Um, Certainly reading the play would be great. Um, but the way I do this in classes is I have you watch the movie, but I don't. It's really difficult to do that with this system the way that it is. So one thing I would suggest to you is that you could certainly go rent the movie from something. It's what's one option. I recommend the the Leonardo DiCaprio version from 1996, directed by Baz Luhrmann, or 1997. It's the late 90s. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes in it. It's directed by a guy named Baz Luhrmann, and it's like an updated version. It's got like guns and stuff, and people are shooting at each other. It's pretty fun. It's actually maybe of all the Shakespeare movies, it might be my favorite. I do have to say I love it, and it's such a joy to watch it with students. Um, but unfortunately, obviously, with situations the way that it is, this is not ideal doing it from home. And I looked into some things. I had this idea, maybe we could zoom it, and I could play it at my house and point the camera to the TV. And I can't really. I could do a screen capture, but then how does the sound get through? So I'm just gonna go ahead and say I think you should watch. Here's what I'm worried is going to happen. I feel like here's me telling you to go watch Romeo and Juliet the movie, and then you're going to like not do that. And then these videos are going to be harder to follow because you're not going to have this good. You haven't looked at it recently. You haven't seen the reason classes worked. I think is because I have my students watch the play, and then even students who don't want to read at least saw the story. Like students who wouldn't even read a summary of the play, who wouldn't read the play, at least saw the movie, and then they can follow class easier. I think it's going to be tougher to follow my talks about Romeo and Juliet and Midsummer Night's Dream if you haven't seen the movie. So I'm going to recommend you see it. One option for seeing it is just to rent it. Like it's like $4 or something to rent on Amazon Prime. So you might want to look into that. Now, I on the one hand, I hate the idea of everybody's worried, everybody's stressed, money is tight, jobs are fucked up. So it's not a good idea, I think, to tell you to go rent the movie. On the other hand, I didn't make you buy a book for class. There's no books for this class. So I think like spending a couple of bucks to rent Romeo and Juliet on Amazon Prime or something, or I think you may even be able to rent it on YouTube, or having or spending, and then spending another couple of bucks to do the same thing again with Midsummer Night's Dream. My recommendation to you would be just, I guess one idea is you could spend the cash on it. Now, cash might be tight, and you might feel stupid spending money on a Shakespeare play for school. But normally your science classes make you buy like an $80 textbook. I didn't make you buy any books, so you could spend a couple of bucks on a rental of Romeo and Juliet and another couple of bucks on a rental of Midsummer Night's Dream, and it would at least help you to follow what's going on. And there are several versions of Romeo and Juliet, and there are several versions of Midsummer Night's Dream, and the Romeo and Juliet version I'm recommending is the Leonardo DiCaprio, Claire Danes Romeo and Juliet from the late 90s, directed by Baz Luhrmann. Another way to do this would be to illegally download the film. Now, I don't think you should illegally download them. Those websites are wrong. It would be inappropriate for me to tell you to just, search online for an illegal download torrent thing, and so that you can watch the movie for free, which you should certainly be able to do since you're using the movie for academic purposes, right? There's supposed to be a kind of freedom involved. It's supposed to be not illegal to sort of play. It's not illegal for me to play the movie in class, even though I'm sort of giving something away that I'm not, Amazon's not charging me for it, but it's for academic use. But it would be inappropriate for me to tell you to go to one of those sites and link download to these things. So there's that. These are options. So I'm not recommending. I'm not telling you to go to a website and illegally stream or illegally download Leonardo DiCaprio's Romeo and Juliet. You could certainly rent the thing. The other thing is I got to send you a copy of the play. So check your email. I've emailed you a copy of Romeo and Juliet. I use the emails that I've collected for our class. If you don't have it, just email me. If you don't see it in your mailbox, email me, and I will email it to you. And then you'll have a copy of Romeo and Juliet that you can use to kind of follow along. So, yeah, I think that's it for a sort of brief Romeo and Juliet intro. Romeo and Juliet's much beloved. It's famous in high schools for a couple of reasons. I think just because it involves teenagers and love. and a lot of exposure to Shakespeare is like high school teachers trying to get you to read Shakespeare. And so Romeo and Juliet is very popular for theater class, but also for English teachers because it's about young people, teenagers in love. And so they figure, it's more interesting to give high school students Romeo and Juliet than say King Lear, which is about what it means to be very, very old. Um, so I understand teachers do that a lot. It's funny, Romeo and Juliet is not really considered to be, as by Shakespeare sort of professors, it's not really taken that seriously as a play. Historically, Romeo and Juliet has not been taken very seriously. It's kind of popular with high school students and high school teachers. But Shakespeare scholars don't really like it. It's treated as like, well, it's an early play, it's pretty good, it's interesting, but it's like considered to be much lesser than Macbeth, much lesser than Hamlet, much lesser than King Lear and Othello, and these plays are considered much more serious than Romeo and Juliet. I disagree. I fucking love Romeo and Juliet. I think it's a tremendous play. I really like it. Um, uh, yeah, one of the reasons why Romeo and Juliet isn't taken very seriously as a play is something I think I've talked about in class before, but I think this is always worth going over again, which is the difference between tragedy and doom. We tend to think that tragedy and doom are basically the same thing. Tragedy and doom, bad things, or in both cases, bad things happen to you. But there's supposed to be a difference between tragedy and doom. In tragedy, in doom, something outside just kills you. So, like if a comet falls and kills you, if a piano falls on your head, um, if a tornado destroys your home, that's doom. You have no control over that. That just happened. It's something that happened to you. It's not your fault. With tragedy, though, the horrible things are supposed to come out of who you are as a person. Macbeth is ambitious, and therefore, I'm going to sneeze. Macbeth is ambitious, and therefore terrible things happen to him. It's the kind of person he is. He has toxic masculinity, and as a result of that, he can't help but make the choices that he makes. It's who he is as a person, and so it is. That is his tragedy. It's located in who he is as a person. Coriolanus' tragedy is located in who he is as a person. If somebody else had Coriolanus, it was in Coriolanus' position, they might deal with it way better. They might, like if I was in Coriolanus' position, I would probably go in front of all those people who wanted me killed and just say how sorry I was and how bad I felt, and I'm so sorry, and I was raised as a soldier, and it's not I'm not good at talking to people nice. But Coriolanus can't beg forgiveness from the disgusting common people. Who he is at the center of that tragedy. He's fundamentally a warrior, and he can't change that. And that's what makes tragedy. Doom is when something happens to you. Is when terrible things happen to you from the outside, like a dragon breathes fire on you and you die. Tragedy is what happens when the cause has to do with who you are as a person. But it's your personality, and it's your kind of locked-in personality. Like, people just can't change. It's just who they are. Macbeth has to be Macbeth is going to Macbeth. Coriolanus is going to Coriolanus, and it's fundamentally who they are as people. Romeo and Juliet was disliked for a long time because it was felt. This is a strange thing to think, but Romeo and Juliet was disliked because they felt like it wasn't. You would think of Romeo and Juliet as being like the most tragic play. These doomed young people, and it's people felt like it wasn't tragic because when we look at the play, right, it's the story of these two teenagers who are in love with each other and their families are at war with each other, and so they can't be together, and then they come up with this crazy plan that she comes with there's a priest who's advising them, and they come up with a crazy plan to like fake her death, and then Romeo doesn't know it's fake. He thinks she's really dead. He kills himself. She kills herself. It's not. A lot of people felt like the play isn't really properly tragic. Why? Because it is a little bit about their personalities, but it's also a lot about bad fucking luck. It's just unlucky. Also, for starters, it seems like they're kind of cursed from the beginning, which is not really tragedy. A curse isn't tragedy. A curse is from the outside. It's supposed to be about personality, and they do rush into love quickly. So in that sense, their personalities are who they are is they got to love as hard as they can, as fast as they can. They're in a rush. So there's something tragic there. But also, a lot of the things that happen in this play are just bad fucking luck. And bad luck is not tragic. Bad luck is doom. It's out of your control. It does not have to do with your personality. And so a lot of people felt like this play is flawed in some way because a lot of the bad things that happen come out of things that are out of people's control. It's bad luck. And I'll pick that up in the next video.